I do get nasty. Welcome to the Wonderland Effect. Today I have a special guest. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here, thank you for being A1 since day one. As always, you know my channel doesn't work if you guys don't subscribe. So like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and let my guest take it away. Hello.
Hey, girl.
So, tell me who you are.
My name is Gabby Rose. I am singer-songwriter extraordinaire, Bay Area born and raised. I do a bunch of stuff, but singing and writing is probably what you've heard of me for.
Definitely that. Okay, so let's talk about your latest and greatest project because that has been definitely speaking to my soul.
Oh, thank you.
Definitely attacking all of my traumas. So there's
mine
that.
too.
Okay. So let's talk about it. Like, where did we get the inspiration and creative process? Let's get into it.
Well, Rose Colored Glasses initially started out as just a straight up 20-track album.
Mm-hmm.
And my best friend was like, yo, you've got to cut some of this. Like, you can't drop a 20-track album with a growing fan base. Like, you have to give people straight, minimal content, but something to gravitate towards. And for me, although I can appreciate that is sentiment, for me, creating an impeccable body of work is all I've ever cared about. And the fans will come back. When they come, they go back and listen and dig into your history. So I've never really too much cared about the number of songs more than I care about making sure the story is complete.
Yeah.
So what I did with Rose Colored Glasses was I actually split it into a double disc. Side A is self-titled, called Gabby Rose. Mm-hmm. And side B is entitled 3D, which actually gives you kind of a clue into what my government name is, as well as this being my third album. It was my way of making the album a triple entendre. Mm-hmm. The self-titled side is very much heartbreak, my pain, what I've the bull crap I dealt with for the last almost 4 years. And then the 3D side is the more party. We're gonna go shake our butts. We're gonna light us a blunt. We're gonna have some fun side.
Should we do it?
Hey.
Okay, all right. So y'all, we got a story. We got a story for y'all. Okay, listen.
So red alert.
We have the greatest background story going on right now because we drove here together. So we had some time to talk before we actually got up here.
Yeah.
And boy, this world is small.
Is it small, or are people trying to make it small?
I think it's a little bit of both. It might be small, simple-minded kind of thing. So we have a common denominator, and we'll call him Experiment 626. So do you want to take the story first, and then we'll go from there?
It's basically just about what the self-titled side of the album is about. It starts off with me talking about me versus myself and just the struggles I've gone through as an individual within myself and the stuff that I've had to overcome. Mm-hmm. And then it immediately goes into everything that I have dealt with in the last 4 years in this situationship I was in. Mm-hmm. Should I have been in a situationship? Absolutely not. And did I expect it to stay there? No.
I don't think we ever expect to stay.
I think one, since this person chose to, pursue me, and not only pursue me, but actively pursue me and said they would do all of these things and have initiative and all of, all the things that men do. I allowed myself to be bamboozled for a little while, if you will. And with a lot of the trauma that I've experienced in life, I think I wanted to just feel, I just wanted to feel important.
So when you say that, did you get the title, The Rose-Colored Glasses, because of this?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So my best friend always tells me, shout out to my best friend, Dan IDK. He writes a lot of stuff that I've performed, or simply just performing for him since he's a writer and not a performer himself. But honestly, that's something he's been telling me for the entirety of our friendship, is that I tend to, specifically in relationships and in love, I tend to put on rose-colored glasses. I am very much a lead with my heart kind of person. I am very much a give you chance after chance because I know people are human and we make mistakes and we need room to grow and grace. And I have been the person who has needed room to grow and grace.
Yeah.
So I unfortunately tend to put rose-colored glasses on when it comes to people. So initially, it just went from a saying, something he always says to me, to me having to acknowledge that I absolutely had rose-colored glasses on from the day I met this person.
Yeah.
And there were multiple instances in regards to him trying to talk to several of my friends, you being one of them.
Hey, Pookie.
Hey, Pookie.
Hey, Pookie.
You being one of them. And do I know whether or not he knew we were friends? Who knows?
Probably not. I think a lot of people don't realize I know some people. I may not know everybody.
You never
but
know.
I know some people, okay?
I do find it ironic, however, that you are like the fifth person that I've been connected to.
5 is a lot.
Yeah. I think it's like four or five. Don't quote me on 5.
I think you need to get yourself together, young man. And I say that with all intention.
You know what?
All intention of young.
You know what? I can be great. One thing I have learned about my music is that God gives me. Sometimes we think of muses as the beauty in our life.
It could be the ugly too.
Yeah. Sometimes we think of society has this ideology of what a muse is, and it's this beautiful being that gives you elevation, that gives you endorphins, that gives you. And for me, unfortunately, literally every single album I've written, my muse has been
Pain.
Yes. And it's almost always a person. So my first album is somewhat about my first love and my second love. I'm bisexual, just so y'all know. So my first album is about the first person I thought I loved, and then the person I actually
loved.
Yeah, very much so. Person I will love to the day I die. No matter where she goes in this world, and no matter where I go in this world, one thing we have very clear is that outside circumstances are the reason we're not together and the reason we don't have a family and all of these things. But my first album was definitely mostly about those two women. My second album very much was about my family trauma and just my own trauma within myself, like my addiction to alcohol and how I coped that way. And even some of my suicidal ideation makes it on there. I was stabbed in 2020 trying to protect a family member who is experiencing domestic violence. It's actually the first time I acknowledged it being a family member. I've always just kind of sugarcoated it and said someone. But I'm coming more into, I'm tired of protecting people who don't care about protecting me.
Yeah.
I'm tired of protecting people who don't have my back. So I definitely made sure that I put what I went through with those muses in those albums. And that's what matters most for me with this third album is that, I did go through some hurt. I suffered some things I've never experienced. My body went through some things I've never experienced.
Your heart went through some things.
Yeah, some things I've never experienced. Yes. And honestly, some of them, I don't know how I was able to pull myself out of them by myself. But I can only be grateful for not only the music that they gave me, and I'm now almost 2 years sober again. So I've been able to pull myself back to not only the version of myself that I knew I could be in regards to the things I wanted to keep.
Yeah.
But in regards to the things I needed to discard, I have fully become not my highest self by any means, but I'm closer and closer to her than I've ever been. And I feel like I'm very much walking in the path that God has called for me. So experiment 32626, play the role.
626,
626, 326.
Whatever number you want to pick.
All the 666.
Get in line.
Listen, we can go with 666.
No, okay. I find it was very weird when we actually had the conversation. But I don't think people think about, when it comes to artists, how empathetic you guys have to be.
Yeah.
Like, you have to absorb X amount of emotions and all that extra because you are so in tune with emotions. Like, that's how you write and create. So when it hurts, it hurts.
It hurts.
And when it's great, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's just, you experience such highs and such lows. And a lot of people don't realize, like, it might be your expression, your way to get it out. But shit, the journey there is not the greatest journey all the time.
Not at all. It's a lot of times, especially for women like myself, who I'm a Cancer, which means I'm very emotional. I've been through a lot of stuff. I've had some serious traumas. I've experienced like some very detrimental shit. So, and then just having to deal with, the self-hatred that most women go through in society. I'm thinner now, but I've always been a bigger girl. I had to deal with the body dysmorphia and all of the shit that comes along with what you hear in your head from other people telling you, and all of that. And
Sometimes
I don't think
it's yourself. It's not even other people.
yeah, also that it's sometimes both, you know, like you're battling between their thoughts and your own.
Yep.
So for me, I think what was most important moving forward into this year was not carrying anything else, that I've letting go of just the shit that I've been bringing into every year, the things that I have maybe healed from and then met somebody else and allowed myself to revert back to, or just all of the toxic behaviors you hold on to when you're healing.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm finally walking in what God called me to do, and all of it has its purpose. And although I love Experiment 626, I ain't in love with Experiment 626.
Yeah.
And maybe God gave me just enough to, you know, to have another album and to have more stuff to talk about and to have more experience. I did learn some stuff from him.
Yeah.
So he served his purpose.
Yeah, which sucks because we were just talking about it. Like, that's when I delete people. When I hate to say it in such a negative way, but everybody has their purpose in your life. And when they lose that purpose, you really have to assess the situation, the relationship, and you have to make that call, because you don't want a dead situation in your life.
Right.
It just drags you along for a ride that you necessarily don't need.
Especially when you know that that energy, it breeds.
Yeah.
It grows. It seeps into other things.
Yep. And you're absorbing it.
And I'm a sponge. So I not only being a Cancer, but I'm also an empath. Like I can feel energy when I walk into a room. I can feel a person's sadness before they ever open their mouth. I can feel stuff that happens in the world from places I've never even been. And it's both a gift and a curse. Yeah. Because it's nice to be able to connect on such a deep level, and be able to express something for yourself that you're not realizing you're expressing for other people who maybe don't have the voice. Yeah. But at the same time, like you said, there's that hurt. And that hurt can be
very painful.
Girl, I am a spiraler. Yeah. Hence the album being called Rose Colored Glasses, and hence it being separated. I remember my uncle asking, why did she separate the album like that? That don't make no sense.
Yeah, because I didn't know there was the other side. I was like, oh, girl, now we got to go listen to the other side.
So the reason I did that is because one thing, again, my best friend will stand on is Heartbreak music being my bread and butter. Yeah. That is very much what I was born for. I call my R&B bitch. Yeah. Because while you're going to get the rhythm and blues, you're also going to get some aggression. Like I said, I've been through a lot. So a lot of times it comes out angry. It comes out as real in your face passion that some people don't necessarily, immediately understand. And because that is my bread and butter, and because that is something you can consistently hear from me, I've also grown in a lot of ways, and I want to showcase the music that cultivated me. And it's not just, the Mary J. Bliges, the Faith Evans, the Brandys, the Mariah Carey. It's not just the heartbreaking R&B, the Beyoncés, the Destiny's Child. It's also the Pinks. Yeah. It's also the Paramours. It's also the Christina Aguilera. I grew up on the Nickelbacks and the Dixie Chicks. Like, I have a very well-rounded palette. I love all genres of music. Yeah. I listen to jazz. I listen to music in languages I can't even speak. One of my favorite singers, Aradhanas. I
love her.
Girl, she follows me. I will never forget the day she followed me back, baby. I almost cried. I have loved that woman since I was a teenager. Yeah. But just to be able to say I'm reaching people like that, and I'm hearing music with other languages in it and other cultures, like I wanted to showcase that. I have that knowledge and that I am in that bag. So instead of putting everything all just on one WAP, I knew my core fans would listen to a 20-track album. Yeah. So I gave them the deluxe that has everything on it.
And
but for the people who like my bread and butter, I gave them side A, which is just strictly me crying.
Yes, because I was crying. Listening to,
and then for the people who are like, hey, I want to turn up. I want to hear her do something different. I gave them 3D, which literally simplifies, it stands for not only my government name, which is literally 3 different Ds, because I have 2 middle names, but it also signifies it being my 3rd album, and then lastly, it being 3rd dimensional, meaning it has different sounds than people are used to hearing, and it has 3 different genres on it. Yeah. So that was my goal with this album, was definitely showcasing my hurt and my truth.
Oh, I was hurt. We was going through it.
I ain't gonna lie. Wait till you see these videos.
Oh my God. I was listening to it. I said, this girl gonna make me cry. I'm on the way to pick you up like, Let me breathe. Like this. She just took me
Yeah.
back. Hold
Shout out
up.
to my videographer, man. OG Music Nate, though. He's in
Oh, you know
Sacramento.
what? We follow each other.
Yeah. Oh, that's my dog.
Yeah.
That's my dog.
Did not know that.
Yeah. He's been shooting me for over 10 years now.
Maybe that's where I found him.
Yeah.
Was you?
Honestly, one of the
see it.
most supportive, truly, like, most loving friends I have. Like, he's not just a man that I work with.
Yeah.
This is someone where if I'm crying and I'm having a bad day, or I'm somebody, for example, R.I.P. my Uncle Dwayne Wiggins. We're not blood related, but by all intents and purposes, that man grew up next door to my father and my uncle. They all started their bands together. You know, my mother since she was about 17. So I've literally known that man my whole life.
Yeah.
And I bring him up to thank you so much. I bring him up to say how important it is to have men who actually you can just depend on in regards to your care, your education level, the business that they have been able to learn that maybe you haven't, that they can provide, you know? So when it comes to like me being sad or heartbroken, I can not only depend on him to shoot these videos and do them right and know my angles and make all the edits I want, no matter how many times I done said, take that out. I like this, go back to that. Oh, wait, I changed my mind. You know, I can also depend on him to be genuinely one of my best male friends. So I brought him up to just say shout out to him because we've been doing a lot of work and I cannot wait.
I love that. I'm
y'all to see these
excited.
videos.
I'm ready.
Because, girl, if you was crying listening to the sermon,
I'm
wait
about to
till
be
you-
watching the videos like,
Listen.
why did she do this to me?
I watched it back like, hold up, is this me?
You know what? Don't you love that feeling though? Because you look back at your work and you're like, holy shit, wait a minute. I got some. Wait
Some
a
of them,
minute.
oh God,
Listen,
I've got some videos that I've shot
that
that
bitch.
they were great for those moments.
Yeah.
But when I go back and watch them, I'm like, ooh, that wig, ooh, that outfit. Oh,
See,
why
but
did I wear that?
You are more likely to pick apart your stuff before somebody else.
Very true.
Like, because we are looking at ourselves from a different perspective.
And a lot of us had that body dysmorphia for real. Like,
girl,
you know, it doesn't always have to be about weight. Like, and that's what a lot of people think it's, you have body dysmorphia because you're bigger. No, I've wanted a nose job since I was a child.
I have to.
Because of what society says my nose has to look like, you know? So I'm actively trying to push myself again. I definitely am for what all women want to do with their bodies. Yeah. I will never tell a woman what to do with her. Do what you want, but
it's your own prerogative.
At the same time, while we are in, you know, an era of surgery culture, and I've wanted the nose job. I need to go take my butt to a gym and hit them in them stairs because as much weight as I've lost, my boobs are gone, my butt is gone. Like, I probably still got a nice snatched waist and a little bit of hip, but the areas that I preferred are gone. You know, so. I've had to battle with myself about, well, when I get enough money, what am I going to do to, you know, and I'm just grateful that each day that I live now, I'm continuing to rip that out of the root. Yeah. I'm continuing to rip that up by the root. I don't need that anymore. If you don't want me because you think my nose is too big Afrocentric, or if my butt is too flat for you, if my boobs are too small for you, because I've gotten healthier, mind you. If you're complaining 32626. If you're complaining, if you're complaining that I've lost weight, and don't get me wrong, I randomly went through a throwback. I had a moment the other day where I went through a lot of the pictures where I was bigger. Yeah. And I get it. I was still a beautiful girl, chunky. I definitely see the beauty that I had while I was bigger. Yeah. But I'm healthier now. Yeah. I feel better in my body. And your mental's probably better. Yes. Yeah. What I see in the mirror, I genuinely feel comfortable with.
You love her.
Very much so.
You love her.
While still acknowledging that there are problem areas I have, but I don't feel the same way I felt about them. They don't have the same level of depressional power over me, you know? So I definitely am a firm believer in doing what you need to do for yourself and not listening to what anybody else has to tell you, because that is how you heal those wounds in yourself.
But I also think it's like a lot of people don't understand, like, we put ourselves out there when your face is on a screen. At any point in time, like, everybody will have their own opinions about you, and we have put ourselves in this position to be open to that ridicule. Yes. And I'm not gonna lie, some of this shit that they say, it hurts.
Listen,
like, damn,
that damn video of me. So I don't know if you ever saw it, but I did a street interview in 2023.
I saw it.
So it was my first time in New York, and they asked me a question about how I feel about this current generation, and I both spoke on.
I'm pretty sure most people have saw it.
Yeah, and I, billions of people, girl, have seen it. And I spoke from my
It's her.
understanding.
It's definitely her. If y'all wanted to know, this
if
is
you
her.
wanted to know, it is in fact
It's
me.
definitely her.
It's really me. I'm a real person. But I've had plenty of when I say hundreds of thousands of people have, oh my God, I feel so seen. There have been people, she needs to be president. Give her a podcast right now. And so many people just in agreement, people sad and, pouring their hearts in agreement. While on the flip side, I've had people say, oh, look at her tattoo. She's wearing our trauma. She's got a Starbucks cup in her hand. Clearly, she's a consumer and a part of the problem. Mind you, that Starbucks cup was free. I walked in and said I needed a cup of water. They do that, y'all. But
it's also none of y'all business.
Also none of y'all business.
None of your business.
But just some of the things that people were saying, oh, she must not have had a father. I've known my father my entire life, cultivated my music. My father is one of my biggest fans. Like, people say the dumbest things. And I think because I'm in this era where I'm healed, I'm healing, excuse me. I'm not healed yet.
Yeah.
I'm learning what it's like and what I may have to deal with when I finally do blow and my music has more than 100,000 plays and I'm being played in not just 100 countries, but all of them. Yeah. I'm getting my first taste of what it looks like to have to sit with yourself and say, hey, I don't have to respond to everybody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Girl, I had one of these dudes, like one of my viral posts, he would comment underneath talking about, well, I like the original better. I wanted to say so many things,
girl,
but I just let go and let God because they ain't got nothing to do with me. You still watched the video. You still commented and got me the reach. So thank you for your service.
And I think the only people who I didn't really respond to are the people who just simply disagreed.
Yeah.
I'm not here for you to.
I don't want to argue with you.
Yeah, I'm not here for you to agree. Bad. I'm not here to get anybody to just sway to my side. If you have sat with what I said and done some critical thinking and allowed yourself to sit with it, then great. That simply means that you are a decent human being who is trying to be impartial in life and hear other people's sides, points of views and come to some kind of understanding. And those are the people I don't have anything to say to. But if you're in the comments saying, oh, my mother was this or my father was that or I must be this, I'm hoping that God continues to work that over on me and eventually I don't have to respond. But at the same time, I spent so many years silent.
Yeah.
And allowing so much to just happen to me. I just allowed myself to be a pincushion for so long.
Yeah.
And about a lot of things, about sexual assault trauma as a child, about just being the black sheep of my family and me being such a boisterous, outspoken person and that being stifled as drama in my family. I was always called dramatic. It was never just that she's in touch with her emotions. It was never that she's here to break these generational curses. Never that she has a spiritual understanding of emotions that we don't have. It was always she's dramatic. She's over the top, and that shit was a negative a negative self-talk I would hear for a long time, and it really took me understanding that I'm not meant to be palatable for you. I am absolutely meant to do what God called me to do and have the conversations that people are uncomfortable having. And in those instances, I will speak up for myself. Yeah. I do, however, though, need to learn a balance for sure.
I think a lot of it, especially with our parents, they didn't really have emotional intelligence, like you said, in your clip. But also, it's nobody ever deals with their inner child.
Yes.
And a lot of the adults, like now that we're adults, we have that inner child that people are starting to become more aware and trying to improve that part and the communication between parent and child a lot more healthy. I just interviewed with a therapist and he was giving me his outlook and I'm like, I deal with the parents.
Yeah.
On my 9 to 5, I deal with about 200 of them.
Yikes.
That's my jurisdiction. And a lot of them, you can see that they act like kids. They act like kids because that inner child was never healed.
And you know what the worst part about it is too, a lot of us, not obviously not yourself and myself, but a lot of these older adults, it's not only that they never dealt with that inner child, but they also spent so much time running away. Either it was stifled or they had to grow up too quick, so they weren't actually allowed to, express that inner child or let that inner child live.
Yeah.
Or because of having to grow up too fast, they immediately, through it, that inner child became non-existent.
Yeah.
And I personally believe in order to have a true humanity about yourself, a true moral compass, a true understanding of, again, like I said, being impartial is a big thing for me. I don't have to agree with everything you said, but one thing I should be doing as a human being is absolutely understanding that you have the right to your experience and your understanding of your experience and your preference. And we do not have to agree, but we should respect each other having our individual viewpoints. And that's something that's very big for me, is making sure that I'm acknowledging that my inner child is still here.
Yeah.
You know, in order to be able to have fun with kids and to truly connect with them, you have to be able to have the same amount of fun that you did as a kid. And I think a lot of us have done away with our inner child.
A lot of people have done away with imagination.
Yeah.
I love my imagination.
Listen.
This shit came out of my imagination.
Listen.
Like, this was exactly...
Whole albums, you know?
Like, I love when I get to hang out with my nieces and nephews and my godkids. It's like, I get to have fun. I'm the fun aunt because I still have an imagination.
Yeah.
Like, I tell them they can do anything that they want to do because this was in my head once upon a time.
Yeah.
And has it gone beyond what I could imagine? Absolutely.
And I relate, because my niece and my nephew are truly my world.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try not to get emotional.
Okay, you could cry a little bit.
Girl.
Cue the tears.
I'm used to talking to them every day. I'm used to talking to them every other day. And myself and their parent, my sibling, are not getting along currently. I honestly don't think it's repairable, which may result in me potentially never seeing my niece or my nephew again, or at least having some form of restrained relationship. And you know, all intents and purposes, I'm 36 years old. Although I'm not their mother, never have I tried to pretend to be their mother. I love them just as, of course, not as much as their mother, right? You can't possibly love someone's child as much as they do. But I certainly love them on what my version of, you know, what motherhood would look like for me. I certainly love them as much as I can, as close to her, you know. I changed my life specifically
for them,
for my niece. After almost losing my life in 2020. I wanted to make sure that, you know what, the way I grew up and the bad behaviors I have, like I said, the alcoholism and all of these things, I don't want her to see this. Not carried out from me. I'll be damned. So I love that I still have my inner child, because I've been able to experience such beautiful moments with them. And while I'm hoping they're not the last ones, if they do end up being some of the last moments, at least I can say that I gave them everything I had. And I love them with all of my heart. And I will always love them with all of my heart. And I will cherish every single moment I've been able to have with them until, God forbid, I never have kids, you know? I'm big on my children being able to see two people who genuinely love each other, who work it out through everything. They don't see you argue. You argue, maybe, but not in front of your children.
No.
You know, there's no disrespectful language, you know, spoken between each other. And when we are having a tough time, they do see us work it out and speak amicably to each other, and have, you know, build real foundational memories for them to then hold dear for their own families one day. And although maybe one day, if I end up rich enough to call in a sperm donor and be a single mom, you know, if it comes to that, I'm not willing to not have children for that. But at the same time, I'm willing to wait until the eggs officially, I'm almost about to be scrambled.
Stop it.
You know, so that way I can give them the best opportunities at love and life and understanding. And for now, my sister's children have been, you know, my version of that. And like I said, moving forward, I don't know what will happen. I do know that it is okay to not want certain people in your life after certain things that they've done to you. And the ways that they have continued to, you know, not acknowledge what you've been for them. And what you've done for them. And I'm not just referring to her when I say this. I'm referring to friends, family, multiple people, you know, Experiment 626.
I got something
the
for
people
that
before
ass.
him, you know, the people before him. Like, I had a dude literally fake his death on me because I told him I didn't want to deal with him no more. Like,
fake the death is crazy.
Ironically, he's that person was an Aries too. Aries
Aries
are crazy.
My ex-fiance was an Aries, though. I love that. That one, 626, is a whole different level. I don't know where you
know,
got that
I done met 3 crazy ass Aries men in my life that I've dealt with.
Mine is Libra. We leaving them alone.
That's my rising sign.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. They're crazy too. Listen, I'm honest, okay?
Love them, but y'all crazy.
For example, I'm a Cancer. I love Cancers. But unless it's a Cancer woman, I'm not dating you. Not dating you.
Okay. So while I do love the conversation that we've been having, I do have to be respectful of your time.
Of course.
What is one thing that your fans do not know that you would like to share?
Oh, That's a that's a good one.
You like that?
Yeah, girl, you got me thinking. Honestly, I drop gems everywhere. So like if you really pay attention to me, you'll catch some stuff that you might be one of the only couple of fans to know. I definitely know my government name is something that most people don't know. I'm gonna let y'all figure that out because if you go watch my most recent interview on YouTube, you can figure that out. So that's a gem y'all can search for. You know what? We'll keep it music oriented. One of the things that most people do know about me is that Brandy is definitely the artist who most cultivated me, and I call her my mother. What most people do not know, however, is that Faith Evans wholeheartedly, I know that woman's first album like the skin of my teeth. Faith Evans, if Brandy is my mother, they was in a lesbian relationship because Faith Evans is her spouse.
Okay.
And my best friend would tell you Mary J. Blige is my real mom. But I think that would be a gem that people don't know about me is that I most often praise Brandy or my favorite male artist, Chris Brown, for what they've given me.
I know that. Chris
Girl.
Brown is your man. Okay. So thank
Preset.
you. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I ain't gonna sing for y'all.
So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for
I
having
would
me.
like you to tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find me on most social platforms, Gabby Rose _music. So Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I am Gabby, Gabby Rose, so Rose like the flower, and then _music on all three of the platforms I just named, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Facebook, you can just type in Gabby Rose. Snapchat, I'm just Gabby Rose Music, so almost the same, just no underscore. I'm also on Lemonade, all the new apps. I'm on everything that pops up, y'all. Y'all can find me on all socials.
Okay.
But just type in Gabby Rose and I'll pop up. I'm also on all streaming platforms. And if you have not heard the double album yet, if you've only heard one side, I'm gonna clear up this confusion before we get out. A lot of people have heard only one side, whether that be 3D or whether that be Gabby Rose. So 3D is side B, Gabby Rose would be side A, and then Rose Colored Glasses, the one that has the big roses on my face. That is the double disc, which has both sides of the album on it. So I just wanted to clarify that for any of my fans who have been confused and have only heard one side of the album. That means y'all been missing out on the other half for 6 months. So it's brand new to you to go dive in. Yep. And thank you for having me, my dear.
Thank you for coming.
Of course, I'm here whenever you want me.
I love that. As always, you guys know what the deal is. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I will link all of her information down below. And if you would like to become a sponsor, please let me know. Send me an email. And if you would like to be on the show, send me an email. But please make it worth my time. That's it. That's all. Watch me. Bye.